We open with a close-up of a graphic illustrating the poverty rates for those living in Australia on income support. The voice of an authoritative voiceover brings in the topic. For the hundreds of thousands of Australians living on income support, the reality is this: they're stuck in poverty, unable to afford the basics of life. But a proposed increase to the Jobseeker payments could see a brighter future for Australia's welfare recipients. We transition to an empty Parliament House, the Australian flag flapping in the breeze. Labour backbenchers Alicia Payne, Michelle Ananda-Rajah, Kate Thwaites and Louise Miller-Frost have taken action in an attempt to get their party leader, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, to stop leaving people with the least behind. As part of this, they recently added their names to an open letter calling on the Prime Minister to substantially increase the rate of Jobseeker payments. The scene changes to a collection of academics, business and community leaders. The signatories of this open letter, which includes the support of Liberal MP Bridget Archer, Teal Independents and member of the Senate crossbench, are urging the Prime Minister to act and address the increased deprivation faced by welfare recipients. Cuts to a bar chart transitioning from a low rate to a higher rate, with an overlay of a voiceover. The government's Economic Inclusion Advisory Committee is recommending lifting the Jobseeker rate to 90% of the aged pension, which would provide an additional $90 a week for participants. The rate of the current Jobseeker payments is so low, it is viewed as a barrier to finding work for those living on welfare, and results in the inability to afford medication, food, and shelter. We transition from the graph to a busy street, with people on the streets holding signs and holding banners. The Morrison government initially doubled the Jobseeker rate during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in a bid to provide some financial support. But just as quickly, the subsidy was withdrawn, leaving thousands of people back in poverty. We transition to a potential Jobseeker optimistically pulling on business attire, getting ready for a job interview. A Jobseeker rate increase substantially would be an encouragement to those on welfare, allowing them to invest in themselves, and allowing them have the finances to afford retraining and re-enter the workforce. We transition to a thriving shopping precinct, with people from all walks of life meeting and talking. It's clear that with an increase in the Jobseeker rate, people would be able to purchase the items that are necessary for living: food, medication, transport, all the things that many of us take for granted, but for those living on welfare, are all out of reach. We transition again to a political panel discussion, the topic of welfare payments to be debated. It's now time for the Prime Minister to fulfill his promise to not leave anyone behind and act on the proposed Jobseeker rate increase. It's a structural injustice that needs to be addressed and take immediate action, so that Australia's welfare recipients can experience financial stability, rather than struggle in debt, insecurity and poverty. The scene fades to black, leaving the viewer with the overarching message. What will Prime Minister Albanese do to address the Jobseeker rate disparities? We await his response.